I did quite a bit of research and I kept coming back to Dr. Solomon. Great bedside manner. So
when I'm looking at you now, 6 years later, to my eye, your skin looks so much fresher and enhanced compared to even 6 years before.
Yes.
Really, it was about balancing her facial features to create a little bit of balance between the upper, middle, and lower third of the face. And then widening the roof of the nose can sometimes enhance breathing. So you can sort of kill two birds with one stone to create almost like a porcelain type of skin. And I feel like that's exactly, that's sort of what you've been able to achieve, this sort of porcelain look. I remember when I did your case, even though it was 6 years ago, it was almost hard to close the nose because we'd added quite a bit of size to the nose. And sometimes we're limited by your skin envelope being able to stretch back down to cover the new nasal shape. So I don't know, that doesn't happen all the time, but I know in her particular case, it was almost hard to close. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Solomon. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Unfiltered. Today, we're going to be talking to one of our patients who's undergone a number of treatments at our clinic, including surgical rhinoplasty, some skincare treatments, Botox, some laser and energy device treatments to enhance her appearance and to maintain her natural beauty. She's in her 50s, and we're going to turn over the mic to Nancy, who's going to talk to her about some of her experiences and what she's done. I think whatever she's doing, she looks terrific. So her sharing with you her experiences and what she thinks have helped her maintain her looks or enhance her looks will be well worth the listen.
Hi, everyone. So I've been here for the whole ride for Carolyn. She joined us, she met with us for the first time about 6 years ago. Initially, she came to us to discuss doing rhinoplasty.
Right.
So what were your, let's start off with that. She then, since then, has now converted into becoming an anti-aging patient of the SFP MediSpa, and she's been doing lots of treatments. And the combination of the nose and the skincare is just perfect. She looks beautiful.
that's with your help.
So let's start talking about your nose.
Okay.
So what were your main issues with your nose, or what were you looking to change?
Actually, my main issue was I had a deviated septum.
Okay.
And also wanted to enhance my nose. So I did quite a bit of research and I kept coming back to Dr. Solomon. I just liked the, I guess, the bedside manner he had. And
He does have-
Yes, a great bedside manner. So after, I guess, a couple of reviews I read, I just picked Dr. Solomon.
Did you search Asian rhinoplasty?
Actually, no, you know what?
surgeon?
At
How
that
did you
point,
do it?
no, I didn't. But the feedback I received from Dr. Solomon, he kind of mentioned that the best way to go was having a septo. What is it called?
Septorhinoplasty?
Yes, but having a rib
Oh, okay.
replacement.
So he gave you options.
Yes, he gave me options,
And then you
right?
chose the rib graft.
Gave me the options of why I shouldn't have, I guess, another, I don't know what you called it,
The implant.
the implant put in for Asians, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, we just talked to a young lady that we did a implant combined with cartilage grafting, and I can tell you why we may have arrived at doing a rib cartilage graft in your particular case. So because Carolyn had seen us regarding her deviated septum and some breathing issues, there were sort of two considerations. One was her aesthetics and one was her breathing. And in certain circumstances, when we're dealing with breathing issues, if we find that the breathing is compromised on the roof of the nose, then widening the roof of the nose can sometimes enhance breathing. So you can sort of kill two birds with one stone. You're going to be enhancing the airway by widening the nose with the cartilage grafting, which an implant would not do. And then we can use additional grafting to raise the bridge to give you a higher nasal dorsum. So one of the advantages, which we didn't really talk about in our last podcast with cartilage grafting, is if someone does have functional issues with the nose, you can address the functional issues sometimes in a more comprehensive manner than just by correcting the septum alone. And likely in your case, we elected to use rib for those reasons,
Right.
to rebuild the roof of the nose, straighten the septum, and then to augment and raise the bridge of the nose as well. And so we did that. That was quite a number of years back, right?
About 6 years?
6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
I've
And-
actually got her pre-op photos here too, so we can take a look and discuss in detail what she was looking to change. Okay,
6 years.
there we go.
Yeah. So look, so you were in your late 40s then
Yes.
when we saw you, and you looked terrific. And really it was about balancing her facial features. So often in patients who are seeing us of different ethnic groups are looking to augment the bridge of a nose, not necessarily to make their nose bigger, but really to reshape it and to create a little bit of balance between the upper, middle, and lower third of the face. And I think that's what we were able to do. We made the nose a little longer. We made the columella, which is the part below the tip of the nose, a little bit further down. By doing so, it gave you a little bit better proportions of the nose. I think that was one of the main things on your nose that I really liked. So slightly higher nasal dorsum, and we built up the length of her nose by what's called an extended septal extension graft. I remember when I did your case, even though it was 6 years ago, it was almost hard to close the nose because we'd added quite a bit of size to the nose. And sometimes we're limited by your skin envelope being able to stretch back down to cover the new nasal shape. So I don't know, that doesn't happen all the time, but I remember in her particular case, it was almost hard to close. So I'm glad that, though, that everything turned out, and because I think the shapes, like I'm thrilled with that.
And it's held shape.
Yes, it did. It absolutely did. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
You look phenomenal.
It balances you out. Yes. Absolutely.
And then we started talking about, I guess, while you were in our clinic, you started asking questions about some of the other procedures that we offer.
Yes.
And when I'm looking at you now, 6 years later, to my eye, your skin looks so much fresher and enhanced compared to even 6 years before. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about, or Nancy can discuss with you some of the things that you've done.
I'll hold this picture up now for the purpose of the skin. So if we look at, I'm just splitting it in half here. But if you can see, she's had some sun damage. There's been some, which I don't even see it anymore. It's gone. And her, just the whole coloring has changed a bit. It's brighter.
Yes, it's
even
brighter,
out. More even.
Yes.
So how many treatments we do? We have a laser called Pico laser.
Right.
So it addresses sun damage and brown pigment of the skin. So how many treatments did you do?
Oh, maybe 8.
8, yeah. I remember you did more than the average. The average person does about 3 to 5. Yes. It's a treatment that you get. It's a MediSpa treatment. So it's come in and you may go home about an hour later. So you get numbed with topical numbing, and then the treatment takes about 15 minutes and sort of gets little zaps all over your face. And then you're pink for the day, and then you're back to normal the next day. Yeah. So we recommend doing that about 3 to 5 times to get optimal results. You did it 8, which is a little bit more than the average, but there's no negative to doing it 8 times. It only enhances
maintenance.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I came back for Morpheus.
Yeah. So for skin tightening. So she kind of veered off from, she's enhanced her nose. Her nose looks amazing. And now she's like, what else can I do? Which a lot of people feel like they're in our clinic now and they learn about our services, whether it's neuromodulators or filler or PRP, PRF. They're all sort of anti-aging tools that we would recommend if patients are interested, and you were. So she's now an anti-aging lifer.
Yes.
Anything that you haven't tried that you still want to do? You're happy.
I'm happy right now.
You look
very
beautiful.
Happy.
You don't need
I just want to
anything.
comment a bit about Pico, just for
let's
the
talk.
audience to know a little bit about it, because there's so many different energy devices available on the market. It actually becomes overwhelming and hard for patients to really know what's what. And in our clinic, we have multiple devices, from CO2, which people have often heard of, which is a resurfacing laser, an erbium laser, which is a different laser beam, which is better for certain skin types and some other indications. And then Pico Sure we brought on probably around 5 or 6 years ago into our clinic. And the big impetus for utilizing Pico Sure was that we have patients of different ethnicities throughout Toronto, and some of the other lasers are really not great for all skin types. So the Pico is not a resurfacing device. It's purely a color device, and it's used for tattoo removal, but it's also used and became very popular in Asia for skin enhancement to create almost like a porcelain type of skin. And I feel like that's exactly, that's sort of what you've been able to achieve, this sort of porcelain look. And it can be used for almost all skin types. There's really almost no downtime. You're a little bit pink for about a day or so. Yeah. And it has probably got some anti-aging elements to it as well, but it's great for maintaining and enhancing the tone of the skin to even it all out. Before that, we were using IPL, which we still offer in our clinic, which is a light therapy, which is probably the most common sort of energy device on the market, which most clinics will have some version of.
Pico sound energy. right?
It's not sound. No,
Oh,
it's
no,
not sound. It's called Pico waves. So ultrasound would be sort of sound energy. Pico waves are tiny, tiny waves. So they're actually shattering and breaking up the pigment just based on the size of the actual waves that are being utilized. So it's sort of a different category of laser. And I have a lot of, patients ask about it, friends ask about it who have been investigating different lasers and like, well, what's this Pico all about? And I can say that anyone who's done Pico consistently in our clinic, it's very rare that I have patients not being happy with the outcome. Also, I will say that it's replaced a lot of our IPL. So because we have both, we're not really pushing one over the other, but IPL is great for lighter skin patients who have some browns or dyschromias and some reds, whereas the Pico is good for all skin types. And if I had to put one against the other, just device to device for browns, I'd probably say Pico. If someone's got a bit of reds, a bit of browns, the Pico doesn't do reds very well. So then there's still a role for IPL. So it gets a bit confusing because people think that one device will fix everything. So just think of it as for browns and evening out tones. Pico is probably, it's in its own sort of category.
So it doesn't do skin tightening either. So I'm just mentioning that because you said you did Morpheus.
Right.
So, and to your point, one device doesn't solve all problems. We often in our clinic recommend multiple different things. It's not a business thing. It's not to make money, but it's to get the best result. Because sometimes it takes multiple things to target the same issue from different angles. So your beautiful results is a combination of PRF, Pico, Morpheus, a few different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I just want to thank Carolyn for taking the time and participating in this episode of Unfiltered. She's a great example of a patient who had the courage to sort of deal with some of her concerns regarding her nose. She can give you an idea of what could be achieved with Asian rhinoplasty with the use of cartilage grafting. She's also been, comfortable, and the fact that she's here today to share with you, comfortable by embracing a lot of the anti-aging technologies that are available today, including skincare, laser energy devices, microneedling, PRP. And when used in combination, she's like a classic example of someone who's hitting middle age looking like she's just stunning. I think you look
Getting younger looking as she's
Looking
getting
younger.
older. Getting younger looking.
Yeah, you really do. You look, you
Yeah.
look terrific. So it's sort of a great feedback for us when we see patients coming in who are taking our advice and using the technologies that we've embraced in our clinic and getting the results that they're hoping for. Then it's always the best for you, and it's the best for us. So we feel like we're really helping you.
And one of the nicest patients.
Oh, thank you.
I have to throw that
That's
in.
awesome too.
Really do.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And thank you, audience, for listening in. And hopefully you found it an informative episode. And we will see you back in another episode of Unfiltered soon.